We're
We are
live.
live. It's been a minute. We missed last week. I don't know why. Why did we miss last week? I can't even think. You were
Uh,
busy.
huh? I think I was busy on Friday, and then I think weren't you out of town last week? Weren't you in Virginia?
I was
You
in
were on
Virginia
your boat. You was on your boat.
on my dad's boat. I don't have boat money, but when you retire, that's when you get boat money, and that's all this man. I had to. I apologize to the salesperson because I was like, I know he's been up here every day, or he calls you every day. Like he calls me every day. Hey, I need to get this from. I mean, he didn't spend more money on boat accessories thus far than probably the damn boat already. Um,
Yeah, you got to get the premium boat Jesus sandals, the Kango hat, the all white linen suit,
yeah,
all
he's
that.
excited. So
Huh?
I said he's definitely excited. But I will say on a personal note though, so my dad is 60, 61, 62. He'll be 62 this year. And so he just retired last year. And some people, they get to what I don't want for me personally is to wait till 60 to really start enjoying life. Like he wants to travel now, he ain't got a boat. And at 60, you could live another 40 years, 50 years, you could live another 10 years, 20 years, somewhere in between. And it's not guaranteed even at an earlier age, but there's the probability is higher. And so definitely would like to make sure that we set ourselves up to live a I guess a more outgoing life earlier on in age as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, setting yourself up to retire or getting some extra income so you don't have to work as hard. That way you're not waiting till 60. You can semi-retire at 50 or 40. And so you can get out there and see the world and do things and not necessarily have to wait. So someone put it like this the other day. It was like if the life expectancy is like 72 or something like that for Americans. And so you retire at 65. So you spent the first like three-fourths of your life working, only to spend the last fourth, you know,
Yep,
doing.
living.
So yeah,
And those are the hardest times because then all your medical bills go up because you got to go to the doctor more. You're not in as good a shape typically, maybe,
mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, I get you. I understand.
So let me share this real quick, and we can roll. Bam. All right. So it is Where's George? We're almost. I think it's sometime this month. Actually, we'll hit our year.
Right.
Um, we will have under our belt, maybe not 52, but we'll probably have a good 47. Maybe we missed maybe three
Yeah,
or four.
yeah. I mean, there's been some vacations and sicknesses and holidays that I think we've missed once or twice. Uh,
So we have a good 40 plus videos under our belt.
yep.
Somewhere on the interweb,
We're
um,
on Al Gore's internet.
somewhere. Don't hold any of this stuff against us, especially going back to like our first ones. I'm sure. I know George has always been very conservative in a sense in his wording, not necessarily in his viewpoints, but his wording. Me, I've probably been a lot more reckless. So, I'm probably to take some advice and probably retire early. If not, someone's gonna find a video and be like,
Right.
is are you like a racist, homophobic, anti-Jew, but you love all people type person? Like I don't understand this with you. So,
I work for much smaller companies.
but you got you a international one now. So
Yeah, but still not. I mean, it's a smaller company than the one I was with. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, no. But no, I mean, I think it's been a good time. I think we have learned a lot. We've grown, still growing. We'll have our first guest next week.
yeah. If she now, hopefully she comes through because I
Hopefully,
DM'd her
if she
the
don't
ask
come
me
through, I want all the dirt, and all we're gonna do is talk about
that.
black women
Good. Because I hit her up just on a, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm in your city, like, whatever. Nah. So we'll see. We'll see how.
She's from your area.
Yeah, she lives like I've known the girl for damn near 20 years. So um yeah, so we'll see.
Hey man, turn your thing down, man. I hear you. I hear myself
All right, there we go.
over here trying to censor us. You got your you got your beat button on. Uh,
Because I can't watch like on the Zoom, I can't see the like
yeah, the comments.
things. So I gotta watch it from my phone so I can see.
No, same thing here. And so anyone who's putting comments in, it's gonna be delayed because what we see and what we're talking about, we don't. It will be I don't know what couple seconds delay
Mm-hmm.
on the book. So
All right.
what
So
we
what we're
talking about
talking
today?
about, man, there's a lot going on this week in terms of racial justice, in terms of fixing things that aren't broken, and even a little, um, I guess, a little humor in there. So let's kind of kick this off with, I guess, maybe what's the obvious. You got, and it's not the George Floyd trial because George Floyd has been murdered. He's dead. This is the, what's the guy's name? Dennis or
Chauvin.
Shaven? What's his first name? Is it Dennis or is it, I don't even know what the man's name is. Jerry? It's
It
something.
don't matter.
It ain't Dennis. I don't know what it is, but it's the Chauvin trial. He's the one that's on trial for murdering George Floyd, and so you've seen a lot going on. But let's get your take on it, George. What do you think you've seen so far?
I haven't seen a lot, so I'll admit that
Derek,
I saw today's, huh?
Derek Chauvin.
Derek, that's right. I was gonna say Derek. All those other ones didn't sound right, but it did sound like a D. But I haven't seen much. I've just kind of heard commentary from different folks on my timeline, and I'm glad I missed the days where they were. I mean, basically they were. I think they were showing like kind of the video of him and the situation, and I mean, basically, I mean, it's you're if you watch the video, you're watching someone literally be killed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no better way of saying it that way, other than that. And I heard that the defense for in favor, obviously, of Mr. Shaven, whatever his name is, um, really try to discredit a lot of the witnesses. Like some of the witnesses were underage. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I mean, if you have eyes, you can see. Uh, but you know, I guess we've been in this situation so often that I'm just very afraid of the outcome. And our justice system is weighs upon one person out of 12 having an opposite view, and that makes changes, right? So I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts?
So it's interesting as I sit there and kind of listen to some of the things that's going on, and you watch the, I guess, the testimony of
Mm-hmm.
what people are saying, and you start this one thing that's really kind of, um, how do I put it? That's been common amongst a lot of the witnesses is like regret. You've got one who who is, was it the store clerk? I can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yo, like I wish I would have just like I would have taken the 20, or I would have told them no, or whatever. Or you got the people in the crowd that, oh man, I wish I would have done something. I wish I would have, pushed them off, or, I wish I would have did this. Or You've got the 911 operator who was like, "Yo, I'm watching this unfold," and it's just listening to testimony after testimony of people who watched this or recorded this or witnessed this, and it's traumatized them. You know, I would imagine this is they've probably had to seek counseling. Like you literally seen someone die in front of your eyes, not just because they got hit by a car or they got shot or something. Like you seen a police officer, and I think it doesn't it hasn't really hit home until I seen I think it was the Floyd family and Reverend Al Sharpton. They did a kneel for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And you don't understand how long 9 minutes and 29 seconds is. And that's a long flipping time. Like it's like he got on his neck and just forgot that he was there, or didn't care that he was there.
Right.
And so and his excuse is, well, he was being combative. So they showed the video of like before the encounter, and they had the gun pulled on him in the darn car. And I get it. Floyd was not the perfect person. Floyd was he was under the influence at the time, and he was high and he had pre-existing conditions. I get it. I get it. But why does that matter now? And that's the part that really the question that we have to ask is why is his past, why is his history, why are we using that? Not, and I say we in terms of just we as in the American people, using that to justify his murder.
Right.
And that's what you see, right? A lot of these conservative groups, oh, is this your king? He was a drug addicted wife beater that left his kid. Like, okay, okay, let's play that role. He was addicted to drugs. He did these things. I got it. But what of that deserves to be murdered? And you can't tell me that doesn't deserve that. Because if you look at what I got on the screen here, this is the history of Derek Chauvin. And so if Floyd's history plays a point in how he or why he was murdered, then this needs to play a point into why the situation escalated further than when it needed to be. And that's the part that you don't see. This is some random meme that I found on Al Gore's internet. You don't see that on the conservative blogs. You don't see that on Fox News, but you see Floyd's, history. You see Floyd's, medical history. Like what, like does Fox News need to have, or does conservatives need to have, do white folks need to have a Boy Scout of a black male to understand that we have a problem? Do you need to have some Barack Obama-esque, or I wouldn't even say, because he smoked crack in the 70s, so they may not even do that. You need some.
He smoked weed. I don't think he was a crackhead. He was a crack.
I thought he did say he did it. He said he did it.
He said he smoked crack.
I think he said he did. He. I almost promise you. I think he said he hit the.
He said weed. I think that. I think I don't know if anybody comes out and admits smoking crack. We need to reevaluate that.
Or cocaine or something. I think he did say he did something. He did the white.
Cocaine is even more acceptable than crack.
I think he said he did it. But either way, I think in their eyes, you have to have some person that has zero record, never been arrested, never been to jail, never did anything wrong, and he's on camera like this the entire time and needs to be killed for them to say, okay. And even then, they may be like, well, why was he getting pulled over? Oh, well, because he had.
No, what they'll say is, oh yeah, back in 2015, he stole a pack of gum from a convenience store, and that's what it was. It's crazy, and I really loathe the whole conservative view on it, and especially when because this is Candace whatever her face is. This is her the pedestal that she loves to stand on, because she makes these just kind of hyperbolic statements about it. Well, we put George Floyd up as an idol.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who has made George Floyd into an idol? I've yet to see an award. I've yet to see anything. I mean, is George Floyd a person? Yes. Yeah. That's what we want people to understand, because people like Candace, whatever her face name is, wants to break him down as if he's not a person, as if he's not a man. I don't care. And it's just like you were saying. I don't care that he was under the influence. People get DUIs every day, and they go home to their families. They get pulled over by cops every day, combative or not. They go home to their families, right? He could have a history of whatever. I don't care. At this point in time, he was whatever he was. He was not combative. Candace, whatever face, was even one of these people in first was like, oh yeah, he dropped a bag of crack on the ground, and that's where why he was so combative. I'm like, well, first off, he wasn't combative. It looked like he was being, very compliant. Yeah. Where's this bag of crack that everyone's saying that he dropped? So you make all these things up, and then you keep. I mean, she's just one of these apologists, right? She's one of these people that makes white people feel comfortable, and to say, hey, look at my white friend. I mean, look at my black friend who said that what I said was right. Isn't that crazy? And so, but even then, even if he did have crack, I don't care. It does not matter. That still does not warrant his death. And in the way that it was done, the testimony today was, they used I don't know, was he an active member of the police force, kind of an active veteran of the force, or maybe, I don't know if he was retired or whatever. Huh?
Yeah, Floyd was?
No. The testimony today. We were talking about it earlier.
Oh, the guy, yeah, the veteran, yeah. He's still active. Yeah.
Okay, he's still active.
Yeah.
And so, here he is basically saying, when you have him handcuffed and he's not, resisting and all these other things, then you naturally scale down. Mm-hmm. That's just what you do. He never scaled down. That's the problem. There's a lot of things that we can debate about, and we can try to nitpick. But the fact of the matter is, this guy did the wrong thing, and what he did resulted in someone's death. I don't care about it. Once again, I don't care about his history. I don't care about the things he's done in the past. None of that matters, and none of it's relevant. I mean, this officer's life was not in danger. Okay, that's the only time, in my opinion, when an officer should use deadly force. Now, I know they're going to say, oh, no, well, he died of this and he died of that. The other part that this officer has to do, besides upholding the law, is also, de-escalating and, maintaining the peace. He wasn't doing that. He was not maintaining the peace. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be there to help. I mean, he wasn't doing these things, and to say that, and I hope I don't hear anybody say, oh, well, he felt threatened or endangered. That's the most, I think that's the go-to for people who just really know that they're in the wrong. Mm-hmm. It's like, so you who have the bulletproof vest, the firearm, taser, and all the other weapons that are in the back of your car is afraid of a group of bystanders with cell phones.
And then they called it a mob. They called it an angry mob, and they showed the video. There's like 8 people. 8.
They should be angry. They should have been angry because you were not doing your job. You were not helping someone. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know that I don't know. You know, and I think one of the EMTs was like, uh, you know, um, I asked him to let me administer help, and he said no or something like that, or he just he didn't allow me to administer help after a while. And it's like, okay, you know, when does negligence just become a thing for this whole, you know, this whole bit? And you know, so you
Because
know,
at
I
what
say all
point was
this.
the threat not eliminated? Like the man was handcuffed. You got six, what was it, like four officers or three officers around him? You got a man you got three officers watching one. He's handcuffed. So let's just, okay. You've got your knee on his neck until you can figure out if he's got on a t-shirt and basketball shorts. So that's the first minute. Say it takes a minute to do that, to get him under control. You got his knee on your neck. You got him, now you got him in the handcuffs. And so let's say the second minute. So now you take a second minute to reorient yourself, get everything together. Where's the other 7 minutes and 29 seconds? What are you doing at this point? That you have to keep yourself. I mean, it was like he just did not care. And I remember the testimony, I think it was the black guy, because he got on there crying. And he was like, yo, this dude was yelling for his mother, who I think his mother had been passed for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and yelling for his mother as if he was a child because he was so afraid of, like, you know, and I don't know if you ever been high before, but I've been high. And there's been things, I've been high and or drunk, that has taken you outside of that high or drunk really quick, depending on what situation you're in. And I don't care how high he was, at that point, he was so afraid that high left, that drunk left, or whatever he was on left. And he didn't, so his only recourse was to yell out for his mother. Here was a 6'4", 200 plus man with a 5'9", I think he's 5'9", 5'9", 180-pound guy on his neck. And he has no recourse. The only thing he can say is, I can't breathe and I need my mother to come save me. And he can probably hear faintly in the background the people yelling to get off of him, you know, to help him out. And he can probably look around and see the other officers sitting there watching him die. And it's probably, you know, it's he's probably in excruciating pain, you know, his chest is probably on fire, and it's just like, and then it's just heart stops. And so and they don't know when that actually happens, but you can tell at what point in the video he goes limp with like another minute or two left. So so there's 2 minutes of he is absolutely not a threat now. He's handcuffed and doesn't have a pulse. So at what point is he even evaluating the threat? Because at this point, he's not evaluating the threat. He's claiming that the threat is maybe around him and that there's this angry mob. So what's that have to do with George Floyd? Why are you still apprehending him? George Floyd is, at this point, for all intents and purposes, dead. And you're still trying to contain that? Come on now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my biggest fear with this, and like you said, it only takes one. It takes one person on that jury to say, I'm not convinced. And if that happens, if there is not a conviction of this officer, former officer, I pray for this country. And I mean that sincerely, because when I say there will be hell to pay, there will be. We thought the riots of this last summer and everything happening was child's play. And that's just the reality of it. That was child's play if this man doesn't get convicted, or if he gets convicted of, I don't know, some bullshit ass manslaughter or something that can be overturned, you know, later on. So like, and like they just gotta. And I was listening to NPR today, and I had to look into it, but they said Biden backed some first responders or something law, first some type of immunity thing for police officers or something like that at one point. I got to look into that and verify that. But I don't know why we make doctors carry liability insurance for if they fuck up, and they're held personally responsible. So why aren't police officers held personally responsible for their actions? Why don't they have
This
to?
is this is where unions go bad, in my opinion. Because I mean, you can't ask an officer to hold liability insurance. Maybe you can ask the city or the department or whatever.
Why can't
But
you?
I mean, first off, I think the majority of them make less than $50,000 a year. So that's
Well, they
probably,
don't kill nobody.
huh?
They
Well,
keep their premium low.
I mean, it's one of those things where, and I think we've talked about it probably previously, or maybe sometime around this time last year when it happened. You know, we ask and we put a lot of faith in a man who's making less than $50,000 a year, uh, and gets 8 weeks of, or 4 weeks of, or however many weeks of training to go out, and protect people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all these people who are just, and I'm not concerned about the person who's convinced on the jury. I'm worried about the person on the jury who, because there's always one that's like, police being a police officer, or being a police officer is tough, and so I can't convict him because I just know that being a police officer is tough. Like, like, come on, guys. That just that's it's just a played out thing where it's like, I mean, my and I think I've said this once before. If you don't have the nerve to be a police officer, you shouldn't be one. It's a nerve-wracking thing. It's I would never in my wildest dreams, applied to be a police officer. So I mean, I give them a lot more respect than I think uh, than some probably should in a lot of aspects, because I understand that it's a stressful, high risk uh, position to be in, but you choose to be in that position. It's not something that's forced upon you. So no, I'm not going to be the person who's going to be like, oh man, I'm going to go out and be a police officer. No,
Yeah.
because I know I'm going to be the trigger happy, I'm going home type. Regardless of if I'm in danger or not, I got to make it to the house, by any means necessary on my end. And that's not what a police officer should be, in my opinion. There should be someone who can see a situation, assess a situation, go through, with a clear mind, de-escalation tactics, uh, you know, and then go from there. But I mean, for all these, and I think it's just the biggest punk move for any police officer. While I was scared, when there was no threat,
Yeah.
especially. Now, I mean, yeah, if you see one of these guys, body armored up with AKs and ARs on their body and things along those lines, yeah, you should be afraid. Mm-hmm. I get it. No, okay, that makes sense. You're talking about a guy, like you said, who was in a tank top and some basketball shorts. There's four of you all. Four to this one guy. If he was high, I don't think he was crackhead high. You know what I I don't think he was. What is it? Angel dust high, where you can move cars and stuff along those lines. And then once again, once he is subdued and everything along those lines, you don't change anything. It's just negligence.
Yeah,
that's just what it is. You should on top of losing your job, you should lose your freedom. If I accidentally go out here and kill someone,
that's their go-to. It's always, I felt threatened. I felt outside of my control. I needed to do this.
if I go out here and accidentally hit someone's child, I go to jail.
Yeah.
I don't, that's just what it is, and it would have never been my intention. It would have never been any of the things that would lead up to someone normally, hurting someone. But I would go to jail.
Yeah.
A police officer should be held to even a greater standard than me, just a standard, citizen. And I firmly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, I am. I am cautiously optimistic. This is probably not probably. This is our generation's. Uh,
Rodney King, you think?
I wouldn't say right. What's the other one? O.J. Simpson trial. I remember being, I don't know, I was in maybe third or fourth grade, and all my black teachers, you could hear them yelling, "Ah!" And then all the white ones kind of. So,
I pray that this is not that, because I was thinking about that when you earlier today when I was watching the trial. I was like, this is going to be like the anti OJ Simpson, whereas like white people are going to be like, we gave you OJ, now you're going to give us this guy. It's like, no, that's not the same thing. This is not that's not how it works, you know. So I don't know. I don't know.
like I said,
Hope
it's going
it's
to
not.
be, if he does not get convicted, George, don't leave your house for a couple weeks. It's going to be hell. It is going to be hell.
No, I already know. I already know. I pray that justice is rightfully served.
Yeah.
He needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, I am past sick and tired myself of seeing all these people get off on these light sentences and things along those lines. Old girl that went into Botham John's house got a year, and I don't even think she has to serve out the year.
Did they redo it? So I know they redid her trial. Did they, or did they redo it?
I don't know.
I
I
think
haven't heard
because
anything about
originally
it.
she got 10 years, but then she appealed it.
I thought she just got a year that she had to serve. I don't know. Someone
Way
look that up.
she
Oh,
deserves to be into the jail too.
yeah, she deserves to be under the jail. To just go into someone's house and then kill them?
Yeah.
What? Let that be anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh well, she was, she now that was the craziest part where she felt threatened. She felt threatened in somebody else's house.
You walked into somebody else's house.
And you will see so many of our good conservative friends, especially in your county, that will just make that will make every bit of an excuse. Well, she didn't know that it wasn't her apartment. Well, that's not none of his fault.
Yeah. I guess the key not working.
Like a wrong is wrong. Right. The key not working. You trying to break into the house. You go in, you see a big guy there, and you just,
You start blasting in an apartment complex. At like what point, and that's the other part of it is, like, you're in an apartment complex. You walk in, you see somebody there. So say you're tired and you everything looks the same and you don't know what's going. Okay, perfect. Let's buy that. But you start blasting an apartment complex. How about you're at the door? How about you just go, you run, you leave, like you exit, you like, at what point was that even necessary?
I don't even take. You know what? You made a good point last time where you were like, I've been high before. Never. I'm not one to smoke or anything along those lines. I've been very drunk before, and I've been able to make it to my room.
Yeah.
Very drunk. in dorm rooms, in apartment complexes, all the above. Never once have I stumbled into somebody else's house. Never once have I even knocked on someone else's door. You know what I mean? I don't live here. Right. I don't live here. Well, let me sleep on your sofa until I figure it out. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Oh man,
let me ask you this.
I fear for my children, huh?
Have you seen the story. So did you the black guy that walked into the Publix at what was this in Atlantic Station?
Mm-mm.
Did you see that?
Nah. What
So
happened?
there, he was and this is a tale of two criminals in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. So if you don't know, Georgia is very much open carry. You can carry everything, anything you want.
Right.
So there was this black man. I don't know how old he was. I'm sure he was at least 21 because he was all legally whatever. And he walked into Publix and he had a shotgun and he had an AR and he had some pistols on him and he had body armor and he had, all the extra magazines. He was loaded up for war. Completely legal, all of it. And he went to the bathroom. Somebody called the law. They came out there and met him outside. He is still in jail. Right? Black guy, still in jail. Mind you, he had a misdemeanor. So they're holding on him. They're holding him on some misdemeanor from like, I don't know, like some years ago. But in terms of that incident, he is completely legal. He didn't have anything he wasn't supposed to have. Everything was up in order. This, that, and the other thing. But he is in jail.
Where's the NRA?
Exactly. You haven't seen it. You haven't heard the NRA. You don't hear conservatives. They're not saying anything. And that's the tale of being black in America. Here, this man, and unfortunately, and we've talked about this ad nauseum here, is black people, we have to understand we don't have the same rights as everyone else in America. We don't. On paper, yes. Oh, yeah. On paper, all men are created equally. Now, what we don't remember is when they wrote that, they had slaves and we weren't men. We were three-fifths of a person.
Not even then. At that
Oh
point.
yeah, not even yeah. That was way before we was in three-fifths. We were just cattle at some point at that point. And
We're property.
so when they wrote that, and we cite that now, they did not have black people in mind. But the black conservatives and conservatives in general like to say, well, we all have the same rules, and we don't. We don't. As a black man, I don't feel comfortable walking into Walmart with my gun on my hip showing, unless I am in a suit and tie and I have no other choice or something. Like I need to be dressed, look like a detective at some point for to even think of doing that. But if I'm going in there with jeans and a t-shirt, no. Why? Because someone's going to call the police on me, or someone is going to pull their gun on me, and we're going to have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't, the rules don't apply, and we have to. And unfortunately for this black kid, this black man, he thought that he was immune to perception. No, no, nigga, you are just that. You can't do stuff like that. Yes, legally, you absolutely can do that. Legally. But when it comes to this, there's a different set of rules for you, sir. And we have to understand that. We have to be more polite during traffic stops. We have to be more extra in our mannerisms and make sure that we are not making sudden movements, or we're not like we have to be very intentional in our wording. We have to be very intentional in our movements. We have to be very intentional in how we interact with folks, because there's always this perception of danger with black people for some odd reason. And that's the essence of what happened with Floyd, right? There's this, he was perceived in the essence of a threat as just being a black man. So that we're already animalistic in that sense in their eyes. So we have to be extremely docile. And I hate when you got extremist blacks as well. No, these are our rights and we need to do this and we got to stand up for our. No, do not stand up for your rights, because they will lay you down and they will get away with it. As much as it sucks in that moment, as much as it may hurt in that moment, sit your ass down, do what they tell you to do, fight it on the back end. That's just what it is. And until
No,
you
I
learn,
mean, you do have to stand up for your rights.
I ain't doing.
There's just a bit.
I'm not
You
saying.
just have to understand. Well, I mean, I think you're conflating standing up for your rights and exercising your rights. You can exercise it without being
Exercise.
not without, huh?
I said, what do you mean by that?
So, standing up for your rights is, hey, I have the right to do this. Exercising them is, hey, I'm actually doing it, and don't treat me differently because of
Oh yeah, I can tell you all day long, sir, I am legally able to do X, Y, Z. But if you're telling me to do something different, okay. Okay, you win this one.
it. Right. That guy was exercising his rights.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not if he was over there and he was like, hey, bump you police officers, I'm keeping my guns on me. Now that's standing up for it,
Yeah.
right? Okay. You should to a point, but you give up them guns so you don't get, a couple holes in you.
Exactly.
That's just what it is. And we as much as the once again the apologists, the Candace what's her faces, and what's the little Terrence boy? I guess he's supposed to be a comedian. I haven't heard anything funny come out of his mouth yet, but they are just they're the ones that stroke those blonde hair, blue eyed locks and make you just feel better. But the fact of the matter is, I've had too many debates at this point in time. Is you only have a small percentage of those people for a reason.
Yeah.
Like they represent themselves. They don't represent the rest of us, and it's okay that they want to represent themselves and stand by themselves. But I've always had an issue with if that's the game that you want to play and that's the stance you want to take, then hey, you do that. You stay there because when it turns back on, you don't look over this way because I am most definitely that vindictive all skin folk ain't kinfolk type. So when Candace what's her name finally gets told that hey, you're a black girl, you can't do that. Don't come looking at me. I don't care. Now you're gonna have to find one of these cats that's like, oh well, we gotta stick up for our black women. Not that one. Sorry. Sorry, that's not me.
Yeah.
She'd much rather see me, in a jail cell and so on and so forth than anything else. So, that's just, I mean, that once again, that's me. Uh, but and all right, all right, let's move on. Let's get reality.
No, that was good. Let's see
And
here.
my
Let's
and my blood pressure up for the rest of the night.
no, we don't need that. So the next, let's see, we got here. Oh, so we've got a new set of Georgia voting right laws and all of the flack that they're catching out for it. So I'll kick this one off because I'll read um let's see here. I'll read you all the cliff notes on what's going on. So what's happened is Georgia. So if you didn't know, if you hadn't been paying attention to anything on the news in the last 8 months, Georgia turned blue, right? And so during the course of the election, Donald Trump made many accusations towards Brian Kemp and Ben Roethlisberger, saying that there was a bunch of voter fraud in Georgia, and he just needed 10,180 votes or whatever. That's all he needed to find. And Ben Roethlisberger and Brian Kemp did everything they could legally to find some votes. Right? They went out there and recounted everything and did all of this. They couldn't do it. It was their staunch stance was there was zero voter fraud in Georgia, zero, and they said it every day from November 3rd to January 19th. There was zero voter fraud in Georgia. But one thing that they realized that happened in Georgia is that their more liberal voting laws in terms of absentee ballots and a lot of those different things caused an uptick in minority voting. And they said, we can't have that. That can't happen. And so what they did was the Georgia State Republican legislator because for whatever reason, Black people will vote in a national election all day long, but they don't vote local. And this is a shit that counts. Like fuck a president, fuck a senator for that matter. This is a shit that really makes a difference. And so, yeah, I'll read you all this. So this is the breakdown of what those laws, what the law that they put in place, what it actually means. And so, and I'll read this to you. So, first one is voters will have less time to request absentee ballots. So, if you remember from in well, if you're not in Georgia, you may not know, but I think there was like a 32-week lead time that you can go and say I want my ballot, and they go through that process and all of that, whatever. Right? You had a long time. So now they've shortened that window where you've probably got, and I don't know what the exact number is, but maybe 8 weeks from the election day to before to get all that squared away. Um, and so that puts more pressure, on people who, and people life happens, right? Snail mail, whatever the case may be. So whatever. There are new strict ID requirements for absentee ballots, right? So now I think you've got to either scan in a picture or something to that effect. And so you got to look at, and people say, well, what's wrong with having stronger ID laws? But it's not that, I mean, generally, we're not like New York City where people take the bus or the train and you don't necessarily have a driver's license all the time. So we're in the South. Generally, people have IDs. The problem with that is it's that specifically targets your elderly. And it's typically the elderly Black people who are more or more susceptible to voting and voting local and voting state and voting in every chance they get. And some 80-year-old woman may not have she don't have a driver's license anymore. So now she's got to go get an ID. Well, now she's got to get an ID. She's got to get her birth certificate. Well, her birth certificate's from 1899. She don't know who the hell has her birth certificate. Who knows, right? So these are the things that so it may not impact you and I, because I drive every day. So I'm gonna have my driver's license. So that doesn't impact me. But it's those older generations or the ones that live in these very rural communities that don't necessarily get off their farm to go anywhere. They don't need an ID for nothing. So those are the ones that it impacts. All right.
I think it's very interesting that my in-laws, and if you've been on here, my wife is white. My in-laws, who her grandparents from the hills of Tennessee, made that exact point. That exact point. They said they made these laws so they can disenfranchise older Black people. Like, what does a 70 some odd Black woman who's never driven, who's never had a car, what would they need to have an ID for? I mean, let's just be honest. We make the Jim Crow era act out as if it was like 300 and 400 years ago, and when it was just in the 60s. You know what I mean? Like, these people are still alive. People have lived through it and everything, and and there's still people who I mean, I'm not gonna say that they still kind of live off that, but I mean, Eugene's right. Like, if you're living out in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, and you've never had any reason to drive anywhere, and you've always walked and things on those lines, come on, man. It's
because
now what you're saying,
but it's not for everybody.
Right? Yeah, I mean, and I think it's very telling that you have, especially conservatives. You don't want any gun restrictions, no background checks, nothing like that. 3 days to wait till you get a gun, but it takes you damn near a month almost to get your voter registration card. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I don't understand if you've registered to vote, which I don't think in the past. I don't think that has required that you had to have an ID. Then why would you not just use your voter registration card when you're doing it? All right, sorry. Continue with the list.
No, you're good. You're good. So the next one is it's now legal for election officials to mail out absentee ballots applications to all voters. And so that was a big push by that was actually a running point for I think Kemp is that hey, we're just gonna mail it out to everybody. Everybody gets one. So now it's illegal to mail out the applications to everybody. Why is that illegal? It makes sense. Like it's an application, but it's illegal now.
And
Dropbox.
you see Rhonda's question.
What she said?
Says, but we have a need for an ID to fly and cash a check. Why is this different? And I bring that right back to first off, Rhonda, you're from Mississippi, so I already know you know plenty of people, older people who have one. They when they get paid, they are not accepting a check, so they want their cash. So people are getting paid cash, and then probably people who've never left the the state boundaries of Mississippi. So there's no reason to ever get on a plane.
Yeah.
It needs to be the same people. My grandparents weren't getting on a plane. Now, granted, they did drive, so I will say that. So they had, they had their IDs. But I'm just saying it disenfranchises those folks who, historically have not needed an actual ID. Once again, you could. There's been times when you could, and I don't know that it's any different now, when you can register to vote without an ID.
Yeah.
Those folks.
I'm over there playing devil's advocate.
No, yeah, that's one of our conservative friends. Yeah, I see that now. So,
but
yeah, that sounds like a.
That is the argument. Well, you need an ID, and so to that point again, it's commonplace for us, right? I've never not had an ID, but we're not of the age where you don't necessarily need one. I mean, when I turn 90, am I gonna know where my driver's license is? No. Everything I need, I go to the same doctor. They got my card on file. My kids or somebody is taking me wherever I need to go. Like,
you know what would really remedy all of this is if young people voted.
Yeah.
When it really comes down to it, like the Republicans are smartest when they're trying to restrict.
Yeah.
If young people came out and vote in local elections like they did national elections, then none of this would be an issue. But they understand that during local elections, your 60 plusers are the majority of your your voting base, and majority of your probably black 60 plusers are probably going to vote democratically. And I mean, and to think that these laws are in place just to not just to almost be a reactionary tale to Georgia turning blue is just, if you don't believe that, then that's just kind of a sad situation for you. And I guess you got more head in the sand than not. So, yeah.
Oh well. All right, let's finish out this list here. Drop boxes still exist, but not as many as they used to be. So if you didn't know, you can either mail in your absentee ballot, you can take it to a drop box. Now there's only going to be the ones at specific polling places. So now you got to go a little further out your way to get it there. Why? Who knows? Mobile voting centers. So there essentially used to be places that would go into rural America or in urban centers where they didn't have transportation, and you still had to have the same criteria as if you were going to the regular voting place. You had to have your ID, you had to have all of this, but now you can't do that. Why? Because there's no way we want to get people who can't get to the polling stations. We can't give them a place to go vote now. So I think that's probably one of the most obvious of almost all of them. Early voting expanded in a lot of small counties, but probably not in the most popular ones. So open up early voting in your Paulding County, a lot further out. But then when it comes to Fulton County, DeKalb, Gwinnett, and we're going to tighten that window a little bit. So if you got 1 million plus people in your county, you want a shorter time for early voting. But if you got 100,000 people in your county, you want to open it up even more. I wonder why that is. Offering food or water to voters waiting in line, regardless of who they're voting for, is a misdemeanor felony.
Misdemeanor or felony?
A
Can't be
misdemeanor charge.
okay.
And so, if you didn't know, you got a lot of religious groups or different organizations that, regardless of who you're voting for, they go out and pass out, especially in Georgia heat, right? They go out and pass out water. If the line is long, snacks. Can't do that now. That is against the law. Huh. Well, who else would they be? One. So, we'll talk about this for a second. So, if we know that the more populous areas are going to have the longer lines, and those are the places we're gonna have you want to encourage people to stay in line, but you've got your more rural areas that don't have lines. So who are they targeting, saying that you can't give water and snacks, right? Like you can't make this shit up in terms of what they're trying to do here. Like it's blatantly obvious. So how does that contribute to voter fraud? How does any of these contribute to voter fraud, for as far as I know? But I digress. If you're at the wrong polling place, it will be even harder to vote. Which means, so generally, if you go to the wrong place, you can cast a provisional ballot right then and there, and then once they verify that who you are, or whatever, then they cast it and you're good to go. Now, I think you either have to go back to your original place, or you have to do something different other than cast a provisional ballot. Well, who's more apt to make a mistake?
And they will change your voting place. I mean, I think it happened this last time. There was a lot
It
of
happened to me.
people.
It changed mine.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they mailed me something, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I threw it away. I got it, but
Right.
I was able to drive. Okay, I drove to my next place. But what if you got a ride? What if you took an Uber? Like, what if you walked? Like,
But the fact of the matter is, you probably went to the place that you've been voting for forever,
yep.
and then someone just out of the blue decided, "Hey, we're going to change your voting location." And to your point, so now, because there's a lot of people who, I think one of the things, and I can't remember if I know you said that you're going to short some of the times. I mean, understand what you're doing when you short the amount of time for people to get in line to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I mean, especially if you're going to the populous places where there are more people, more diversity, probably. So now you're telling people, that are trying to get off work, hey, better get in line before 5 o'clock. Get in line before 5 o'clock. I get off at 5.
Exactly.
you know what I mean? I get off at 5 and I can't vote because why? And then once again, and then you send me to a polling place, or no, I go to my polling place because I've been going to my polling place for the past 10 years. It's been the same place. And then you might have sent me one postcard, or maybe you tried to send me an email to an email address that I don't really check, and it's changed. And here it is, 4:50. Now I can't. Now I've got to drive, 30 minutes away to go and, come on, man.
Which in the original law, now they changed it in the one that was signed, but originally they were all polling places closed at 5. Like, now they did end up leaving it alone because it's 7 o'clock now, but it was originally 5. I wonder where they're going after that. Next one. So if election problems arise, a common occurrence is now more difficult to extend voting hours. So generally, if you at a polling location and there's a problem there, you'll see, judge allowed them to open until 9:15 or 9:17 or whatever.
Because the voting booth malfunctioned. Something outside of the realm of the people. you know.
But now that's not a thing. It's still a thing, but now it's a lot harder to become a thing. Well, where are all the malfunctions happening? I've never had a malfunction in Paulding County. Never. Just throwing that out there. So, All right, let's see what else we got here. With a mix of changes to vote counting, high turnout elections will probably mean long wait lines. So again, with the way they're changing things, you're more likely to wait longer now. Election officials can no longer accept third-party funding, a measure that nods at right-wing conspiracy. I don't know what that means. I guess the election officials got money for other stuff that sounds probably could be legit. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that sounds. That was one where I was like, okay, that sounds nice.
Yeah. The state attorney general will manage. The state attorney general will manage an election hotline. So I guess they'll have where people vote for, where they report voter fraud. Okay, like you should do that. Like, no one should be voting frauding. Like I don't know. The Republican-controlled legislature now has control over the state election board. Now that is the kicker. So, and these two here, the Secretary of State is removed as voting member of the state election board. So those two things there. So the state legislative now has control of the election board, meaning that they can go in. Actually, there's a third one. All three go together. The legislative now has the power to suspend county officials. So the legislative of Georgia, which is Republican and probably always will be Republican, has complete and utter control over the elections now. So if they don't like the way Cobb County is doing something, you don't like that, you need to revote. Throw all these things away and revote. Why would I want to do that? Why am I gonna no? So now you've allowed they've put themselves in ultimate power. And the last one is runoff elections, which is runoff concept is so fucking stupid, but they know what they're doing there. Will now happen faster. So now there's a tighter timeline. So now you've got to communicate that you've got a runoff, and now you've got to mobilize that there's a runoff, and now you got to get folks out there to vote again. So now you got to get this same disenfranchised group of folks to come back out there and vote again. Mm-hmm. You can't let it ride. I'm gonna just let it ride on black. Another one. Nope, you can't do that. You got to come out there and revote.
Yep.
And that's where we are. This is
and Rhonda pointed out they changed voting places. I guess we kind of hit on that. We talked about the closing times and then shortened time frame.
Yeah.
I think closing the places. I would love to see where they decided to close polling places. Which places in particular? How many was in Fulton County opposed, and how many was in Butts County? Or what's one of those other smaller counties, Gordon County, or something along those lines? Come on, man. The thing that frustrates me about this whole thing is, of all the things that a person can do in the United States, especially as a citizen, voting should be the one right that puts us all on a level playing field. Mm-hmm. And when you disrupt and disservice that, then you're basically trying to craft it the way that you want, and that's not how our democracy works. And if that basically when I hear about these things, it's like, well, if you just want to crown yourself king of Georgia, then just do that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have a little round table with the Georgia legislatures, because your butt hurt because we turned blue because we didn't reelect a guy who had 350,000 bodies under his belt, without a gun being shot off, then hey, that's fine. You can feel that way, but you shouldn't disenfranchise and take the voting rights away from people. That's just what it is. Like, you know, do I believe that Georgia will turn red again? I absolutely do. But the this is not the way that it should go, and it shouldn't be this way. And
No.
so, I guess that's the way, right? So now everyone's upset with Georgia. Now we don't have, you know, uh, Major League Baseball has said we will not be hosting the All Star game. Some of the head execs over at Delta said they oppose all this. And what
Mm.
does the Georgia legislature do? Oh well, we'll add taxes to uh, we'll take the tax breaks that you previously had away. But I think it's funny because these were the same people who were crying and hollering when I think Democrats were saying that's what should have happened anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. But now you're going to do that. And so, am I prepared as a Georgia resident for uh, Delta to say, okay, we got something for that? Let's open up, where we need to move this hub to. What do you do then?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, I've been to the Memphis airport. It's awful, and I guarantee you, they will love to have
They have Delta
Delta.
come out that way. I'm sure they would.
They would love to have Delta. Oh my gosh! Come on, guys. I haven't been to the Birmingham airport, but I'm sure it's just as awful as Memphis. And I'm sure they would love to have Delta come over and be the hub. Hey, don't take my word for it. Try it out if you want to.
But and that's the thing though. Georgia has to. They gotta like when these companies start voting, when not voting, but they're using their dollars. Like come on now, y'all going to figure this out. Like you got to be more subtle in a sense. Like you should have waited. You're gonna have the Republican like for a while. Maybe introduce one of these every so often. But to do it right after the state goes blue, like the first time since Jimmy Carter, that looks suspicious. And the fact they didn't think about that, and the fact that they didn't that a lot of the stuff that their former Secretary of State uh, Brian Kemp ran on is that he did to help make voting better. Come on now, like this is just not smart. And that's just where we are. That's where, and I hate to draw this line with Republicans, and it's just what it is. They don't care. They don't, and not to say that Democrats necessarily care about either one of us either, but Republicans they don't give a fuck what you think. At least Democrats hide it, and they try to hide behind this veil of equality of the races and the sexes and the genders and everything else. Republicans, we ain't gonna hide it. We don't give a fuck about you, and we don't care that you don't. And you poor and white, I get it, but you're poor because of the colored people is why you're poor, not because of all of us taking all your money and we're not giving you opportunities. It's because of the brown guys is why you're poor, and that's what they've convinced them of what it is. So I don't know, man. Here we are, 2021. We got voting laws that they're defending. Oh, on paper it sounds just fine, and it does to some degree. Some of them, on paper sounds, oh, it ain't bad, but look at who they impact. And I think what's going to happen, and listening to all the pundits and whatever, is one, a lot of these laws are going to impact a lot of that Trump base that they so heavily rely on, unbeknownst to them. Um, and it's also going to impact a lot of your I think you'll have, well, one, because Brian Kemp was not even though he was a diehard Trumper, he couldn't deliver what Trump wanted. So I think he's gonna have some competition, coming up here in 2023.
Lord, you know,
um
ain't
not
that
not
crazy?
Democratic.
That just I just don't understand how. Now Brian Kemp held Trump's bag literally his entire time.
held it down. He was Trump's bitch.
Yeah, yeah. And so he held his bag the whole time. And here's the one thing where basically Trump is saying you did a bad job.
Yeah.
Without any evidence, he's just saying you all did a bad job. There's a whole bunch of fraud. You got to go and find it. I need this amount for you to, so I can basically just make a big fuss, right? And and luckily they, especially Brad Raffensperger. I mean, I had to give him props for just being like, dude, we did our job. We, done everything that you've asked us to do as far as recounting. It's not happening. It just isn't happening. Now, why would you be upset with someone who's done everything that you've asked them to do, minus the cheating part? Minus the cheating part. Minus the, oh, well, why don't you just find some, have somebody fill in my name someplace and throw them in a dumpster so I can go and find them.
Yeah.
That's basically all he was asking for, or throw out, zone 2 or zone 3.
Oh, did we lose you, George? Looks like George didn't re-up on his
Dominion tip is about to get sued. so we'll see if they're singing the same tune when they got those indictments and Dominion's over here taking them pockets to court.
Oh, so, they're gonna take them to town. I mean, they're going Fox News and all these other conservative outlets are going to learn today about spitting random bullshit without fact checking it or even caring about the facts. So
slander is a thing. That's right.
It is. And I hope that Dominion wipes them of everything that they got. They're gonna have to.
We already saw it. I think some of them. I think some of the smaller ones had already recanted and was like, "This isn't what we're saying. This is what we heard."
Exactly. Newsmax they ran some whatever. In fact, they were talking to that. I don't know if you remember the clip. They were talking to the Mr. Pillow guy, and he started talking about Dominion. And they're like, no, stop talking. Shut up.
Well, no, we don't have the money to cover that deal. Oh Lord.
So
I don't know, man. It is. When I had to move, man. If Delta leaves, that's one of the big
why I'm here. Let Delta go somewhere else. That's a wrap. I can't get a direct flight to damn near everywhere in the world from here anymore. All right. Where you going to Birmingham, Delta? Bet. All right. We're going to Birmingham.
A direct flight to Savannah, direct flight to some obscure place in Idaho.
Yeah. I was telling Shay the other day, ironically, and I said we should fly to Chattanooga that weekend. It's gonna take longer to fly than get to the airport than it is. I said, yeah, but that would be cool just to fly up there. But the fact that we could, we wanted to.
Yet another airport that would love to have Delta as the hub.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Think about Chattanooga taking over Delta. First off, you're close enough to Georgia to still get all of the Georgia business.
Yep.
And now you get all the West and Middle Tennessee business. And I'm assuming you'll probably put Nashville out of business.
That's right? Okay. You would crush Nashville. But I think Nashville is South or West hub, so maybe not as bad.
I don't know. I mean, have you? And I hope we don't get a letter from the Memphis airport, but it is a sad, sad airport. Have you ever been to Memphis?
I've been there once.
Yeah. It still has shag carpet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for they're the hub for
FedEx.
FedEx, yeah. If it wasn't for FedEx, boy, they would have lawn chairs in the middle of the airport.
Hey, you know what though? So quiet as it's kept, Nashville's damn near in the middle. I wouldn't say damn near, but close to the middle of the country. So you can get to, I think Nashville, you can probably fly direct to where does Dallas fly that no one else flies? Is it Australia? I think that's the furthest you can go to get to Australia is Dallas. So you may be able to get to Australia from Memphis. I mean, if you can start, if that's your hub now, if Delta can fly direct to Australia or whatever the case is now from their hub, shoot, it's a wrap. That is a wrap.
Lordy, Atlanta. I'm not gonna say Atlanta, Georgia. Y'all better figure it out, man.
Georgia, they got to. I think enough. There'll be enough. Well, I don't know. We talked about it earlier. I don't know. Either one, they'll try to curtail it back, and they'll kind of go through the laws again, and maybe do some updating, or they'll just say, you know what, fuck it, we'll just wait it out, because eventually the climate will die down, and no one will say anything about it until Stacey Abrams come along. She come out there and just start being badass Stacey Abrams as she is. She already got her legal team all around this. We're gonna find workarounds on all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's who they're really upset about.
Oh yeah.
When is the next gubernatorial?
2023.
Huh?
The race will start in 2022, and then you'll vote in 2022. And
how long do you get to stay governor? 5 years?
6 years? Should be 6 years.
Oh, we need to vote that out. We need to vote that down to 3. this is too long.
But the fact that it's been like if you think about it, it's been that long since he's been elected.
It's took too long, man. I mean, it feels like we've felt every year of Kemp's governor time.
He wasn't even the best Republican. That's the thing about it. He was the worst of the worst. And still, like, she should have, even if she was, and we've talked about it before, if being a Democrat, if she was white, she would have won. And that's just what it is. And now they're afraid she actually has a shot. And they're like, no, we can't have that. We can't have her sitting up in that gubernatorial office. We can't do it. So
yeah, we gotta find somebody a little bit stronger. Not necessarily a little bit stronger. Maybe that's a bad word. Maybe one.
She has a shot, man. She's got a shot. That's why she turned down all the Bidens. He was gonna make her secretary of everything.
Nope.
Just whatever you want to do. Just let me know. She's like, nah, player. I'm about to be governor.
No. She should have taken those national positions. She should have done that. I mean, first off, if there was the most hated list amongst conservative white people who don't know any better, it would be Stacey Abrams at the top. Yeah. Like, they don't know why they're upset with her. They're just upset with her.
They don't like her.
Yeah. She got all those people to vote.
Mm.
Now we're blue for 2 years or however many years. But we do have to get ready for Warnock.
Yeah,
I think that's the next one, right?
He only got 1 year.
When is his thing? 2022.
Yep. So that we'll be voting for governor and senator next year. So get out there and vote for Warnock. Get out there and vote for Abrams. Like,
Abrams, just do your due diligence. Figure out a way for everybody to vote. Next time someone offers you a federal job, take it. Take it.
We do need to find another. We can't have Ossoff in there. Ossoff got to get a federal job, and
why? Why can't you have Ossoff?
Because Ossoff won't win.
Huh?
Also, he can't win. The only reason he won this one, I mean, he barely won this one. He barely won this one. And it was only because most people were trying to vote for Warnock. And I mean, the fact that Warnock declared victory, the next day, and Ossoff was just like 2 weeks later.
Oh, yeah. Ossoff was down to the last ballot. It was like,
yeah.
You gonna make it? Is you gonna make it?
Yeah. Also off.
Yeah, because he had, matter of fact, he had the shorter list. Now
Yeah.
I think about it, because there was a lot of people who didn't vote for Raphael Warnock because they didn't know where he was, because the freaking pool in his particular zone looked like 12 people long.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, we're at it at the time.
That's it.
That's where we are. So appreciate you all. It's been a lively debate, conversation. We're very passionate about our voting here in Georgia. Laws or no laws, we're gonna get out there and vote regardless, because it is our constitutional right as Black Americans to vote, and it's one that we can exercise fairly safely. So we will do such. And if no one will allow us to do such, we will invoke the Rainbow Coalition, and we will have Reverend Al Sharpton and Dr. Jesse Jackson out there marching for us. If they can't vote, I'm ready. So
Both of them need to be making their way on down that sunset path too. Both of them.
Oh well.
Reverend Al look like he's sick. That's sometimes I'll be wondering. It's like,
I'm telling you, after you lost all that weight.
Too much weight. You get the staples? Is that what he got?
He really did. To look like he did, he had to.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah.
Boy, you need to pop one of them staples. You need something. You need to hold some more in, brother.
I can't.
Let one loose. You need I'm all for people losing weight and and everything along those lines. But when you get to the point where it's just you almost are a different person, it's like, man. Yeah.
Oh well. Well, until we meet again next week, hopefully we'll be talking relationship issues with a very dynamic young lady named Shion. If she don't come through,
And we're gonna be talking about some Shion. Hey,
the hell out of so.
I like to talk to Ish, and we will be talking to Ish.
And we'll have the whole time too. So
you know what? Should be writing a letter right then and there.
Yep.
Cease and desist.
Till we meet again, peoples. I am Eugene.
I'm George.
And this is Where's George Podcast.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We're on YouTube now. Get on that.
We are on YouTube. Come check us out.
That
so the whole time too. So.
You know what? Man, what are you doing, dude? Should be writing a letter right then and there.
Yep.
Cease and desist.
Why am I? Oh, I hear you talking. I'm like, why is that still hear you talking on something else?
I am Eugene. This is why Where's George is a thing. We're still live. We still don't know what technology is. All right, we're on YouTube.